Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro! This week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. The summer of superheroes continues, and on this episode I'm paying tribute to the X-Man known as Storm. Now this is a Storm comic hero team. Inside the speech bubble is a combination of where Storm's from and her mutant powers. You see these weather icons. Well, that represents her mutant powers, which is control the weather, and it is in a hieroglyphic pattern because she's from Cairo, Egypt. And then I have the X-Men logo on each sleeve, and to go along with it, this X-Men hat. Now, Storm made her debut in John Sine's X-Men #1 in 1975. And this book also saw the debuts of both Nightcrawler and Colossus, and it saw the debut of Wolverine as a member of the X-Men. Now, Wolverine made his character debut in the Incredible Hulk #181 the year before. And Storm is one of my favorite X-Men. Of course, at one point she was even married to Black Panther. And loved her then, loved her now, and yep. Alright, now as I promised on social media, I have two huge announcements coming at the end of the show. But for right now, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, on last week's episode, I asked true or false. Fans voted for the Jason Todd Robin to be killed off in the Batman story arc entitled A Death in the Family in 1988. Well, the correct answer is true. DC, as part of this, posted a telephone number for fans to call and vote. And by 72 votes, more people wanted the Jason Todd Robin to die. But that's very slim. Very, very slim. But don't worry, he came back. And he's back as the anti-hero called the Red Hood. And 12 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their name's been entered in the drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Fabian Singleton from Monroe, Louisiana. So congratulations, Fabian. You win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode, and as promised, this is another Robin question. What was the name of the Dick Grayson Robin's family circus act? Now here's the hint. I already gave you half the answer. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. Alright, now Will Stroud from West Monroe, Louisiana has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one features two demons from each universe, both DC and Marvel. Resident DC, we have Trigon, and Resident Marvel, we have Mephisto. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Trigon versus Mephisto. Trigon possesses superhuman strength, speed, stamina and durability, shapeshifting, energy manipulation and projection, pyrokinesis, manipulation, transmutation of matter, spiritual manipulation, interdimensional teleportation, cosmic manipulation, transfer of powers, and cosmic consciousness. Mephisto is an extremely powerful demonic entity possessing abilities used by manipulating the forces of magic. He can use his power for a variety of uses, including superhuman strength, shape and size shifting, projecting illusions, manipulating memories, and altering time. He is also highly resistant to injury. Who will win? This fight would make any of the Peter Griffin versus Chicken fights look like a college debate. The two would exchange blows for minutes on end, leaving destruction on every planet, solar system, and dimension they fought on. They would soon come to an agreement that they just can't beat each other. This fight ends in a draw. But wait! Mephisto would then play a dirty trick on Trigon by projecting an illusion of Trigon's daughter, Raven. The illusion tells Trigon, "Father, I have left the Titans to finally join your cause." Trigon, however, isn't fooled by the ruse. He leads Mephisto to believe that he's falling for it. Just as Mephisto conjures up a spell to take down Trigon, the latter delivers the mother of all half-sums and siphons the former's powers and soul. Trigon wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Thank you, Will Stroud, for that fight request. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll have another one for next week. Now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, there's only one thing that I'm going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking. Now, I recently got caught up with reading Catwoman. I slept on this book for a very long time, and I wish I hadn't. It picks up right where Batman number 50 left off. Now she and Batman were supposed to get married, but that got washed out, and she ended up leaving Gotham and going to this town called Via Hermosa. And the main reason she went out there was to reconnect with her sister Maggie, who was in a psych ward due to some tragic events in her life. I mean, one of the worst is she actually saw her husband get killed. And not just killed, I mean like lynched. And then trouble, always, wherever Catwoman goes, trouble is always follows, and that's pretty much what happens throughout a small portion of the first 22 issues of this book. But then she finds out there's this woman named Raina Creel, and she has this some kind of toxic concoction called narcistrine, and she gives herself small doses of it, but over time she had been taking it for so long that throughout the entire book she begins to lose her hair, and then the cartridge of her nose ends up disintegrating, and then her nose comes completely off, and then several other things. And she ends up, but at the beginning of it, she ends up giving her husband a large dose of it that instantly killed him, and led people to believe that he ended up killing himself. And then she even goes as far as give her sons like medium doses of it, and they became like these bloodthirsty zombies. And not just her, not just them, but several other people that she comes in contact with. And then Catwoman finds out that there's a Lazarus pit somewhere below Via Hermosa, and finds out that Raina Creel knows about it. And actually Lex Luthor tipped her off about it. Lex Luthor wanted her to go bad again, so Doom could overcome justice. That's part of the year of the villain and all that. Well, Selina ends up going to the Lazarus pit, and she breaks bad once more. But then after meeting with Zatanna, and then also witnessing one of her friends' aunt almost dying, she snaps out of it, and she goes back to being a somewhat anti-hero. And also, speaking of the narcistrine, the folks at the psych ward where her sister Maggie was had almost given her the same thing, but then Catwoman stopped them and asked her what was that they were giving her, and they would not answer. So she ends up breaking her out of the psych ward and having her move in with her friend and his aunt. And at the end, anyway, they stop Raina Creel. They take her down, but then she realizes that leaving Gotham was the biggest mistake of her life. So she ends up taking Maggie, and then they leave via Hermosa. Really loving this book. Wish I hadn't slept on it. I would recommend this book to anyone. Now you're probably wondering, Vic, you're a guy. Why do you read a comic book with a female lead? Because I can, and I do. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is Batman number 94. Batman the Outsiders number 14. Detective Comics number 1023. Empire Fantastic Four number 0. The Flash number 757. The Green Lantern Season 2 number 5. Justice League number 48. Justice League Odyssey number 22. Superman number 23. Wonder Woman number 758. X-Force number 10. And finally, Young Justice number 16. Alright, that's 12, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 10,069. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. What was the name of the Dick Grayson Robin's family circus act? Now here's a hint. I just gave you half the answer. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Fabian Singleton from Monroe, Louisiana, who won a free tee on this week's episode. Alright, here are those two announcements that I promised y'all at the beginning. Now, this month, all the way through next month, as a part of the Summer Superheroes 2 celebration, every superhero themed comic hero tee is going to cost you only $5. It could be any superhero comic hero tee. It could be one that I'm wearing throughout Summer Superheroes 2. It could be one that I'm not wearing during Summer Superheroes 2. It doesn't matter so long as it's a superhero comic hero tee. It'll only cost you $5. Alright, now to my second announcement. Now, this COVID-19 pandemic has been very hard on people throughout the world, especially here in America. here in Louisiana, we've been mandated recently to wear a mask until the curve is flattened. And in Atlanta, they've gone back to square one. I mean, it's gotten so bad down there that they had to go back to phase one of the reopening. I mean, it's bad. It's bad there. It's bad. It is bad in a lot of states. And for ever since this pandemic started, I've been talking about practicing social distancing, and if you can't, wear a mask. And so, with that being said, I'm going to start giving away these bad boys, and they'll only cost you $5. And even after the Summer of Superheroes, this is a lock. It doesn't matter if the Summer of Superheroes is over, the mask costs you $5. It's only the shirts or the superhero themed comic hero tees that'll go back to the regular prices, but these will stay the same. And I got this idea from one of my friends. They told me that I should start I should start making masks for people. So this is my way of doing so. And again, these will cost you, if you want one, $5. And speaking of which, this is very serious, folks. I mean, there's still people testing positive for it. There's still people that are dying from it. And say what you will, but this is not fake. There's nothing political about this. If you think either one of them or both, you're playing yourself, because it's not. This is very serious. I mean, if this wasn't serious, then no one would be catching it. No one would be dying. I mean, think about it. Be smart. Alright, I'm Victor Nolly on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 320. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero!